Says the Heilige Gemara, Daf Ayin Amud Beis, towards the bottom of the page. Rove Omar. Before the first word in the line is Gnivusich. It's about 6 or so from the bottom of the page. Line starts with the word Gnivutich. Very magniv. But we definitely have to do a recap because it's very much bang in the middle of the kinyan. Right? So, yeah. Very good. The story is like this. We say, we know, the Torah says that when a person Chalila steals and then he slaughtered, Gonav v'tovach, he has to pay 4 or 5, 4 for the seh, 5 for the ox. Very nice. What happened if it happened on Shabbos Kodesh? If he slaughtered on Shabbos the animal, then he's chayav skila. If he's chayav skila, he doesn't have to pay 4 and 5, because we all know the Korean industrialist. His name is Kim Lei. I'm joking. Yeah, we all know the rule of Kim Lei beDerbah Minay. Actually, some versions say Kam Lei beDerbah Minay. So because a person is mechuyav in his life, basically, yeah, there's death penalty involved, so he's not chayav on the money. Okay. When it comes to selling on Shabbos is derabanan. Since it's derabanan, mimela, you're not chayav misah if you sold on Shabbos. If you sold the animal on Shabbos, you still are chayav to pay 4 and 5, because there is no kam leminay, no kam leminay, because there's no death penalty. So far, so good. Life could have been so good. Life gets even better when we saw a different brisa that says otherwise. There's a brisa that says that if you sold it on Shabbos, then you are chayav and you barter on the money. Sounds like there's some kind of case where you sell something on Shabbos and you chayav misah. Why? You chayav misah, and that's why you also have kim beDerbah Minay over there. And Moshe, you already tell us about the maskana. But before we got to the maskana, Rami Bar Chama suggested the following. Very interesting case. Let's say there's a barter deal over there. Yeah, barter of, let's say he says the buyer who wants to buy the stolen goods, the buyer says, everything okay, Yosef? Yeah. The buyer says to the seller, you should cut the te'enim, the figs from my tree. And in that very second, you cut the figs, then I want to barter it with the stolen ox or sheep that's stolen that is in your backyard. Okay? So that's kinyan beDerbah Minay. Because the sale involved in, at the very same instant, there's Chilul Shabbos and kinyan, so that's kinyan beDerbah Minay. Back to Korea, Kim Lei. Whoever the Gemara wanted to reject that, right? The Gemara wanted to reject it, and the Gemara said, no. The Gemara said, no. That's not a good case. Why not? Because let's say the Ganev's client would come to the Ganev, would come to Beth Din, and would tell Beth Din, look, I made a deal with this Ganev. I gave him my figs. The figs are now in his domain, in his reshus, and he's not giving me the ox. He's not going ahead with the deal. What a Ganev. I trusted him. So Beth Din, not because the Ganev is a bad boy and you don't want to touch it with a, with a stick. No, it's just that we cannot force the Ganev to actually pay and go along with it because of Kim Lei. In other words, that's a whole new aspect of Kim Lei, which I never knew in my life. I mean, I knew it because I learned it once, but it's a whole new aspect of Kim Lei. We always thought Kim Lei just means you can't punish twice. This is not punishment. The idea is that because there is oynesh mavis, because there is death penalty involved, you cannot actually go ahead and force him to pay. Not because of punishment. Beth Din cannot force someone to pay if because of the chiyuv of paying came as a result of chiyuv misah. Wow, it's all new aspect. And therefore what? Therefore it's not a sale. The Gemara wanted to say a sale that's not forcible in Beth Din is not really a sale. Even if they do go along with it, and the Ganev is a good boy, and the Ganev provides the goods and gives him the ox without on Motzei Shabbos, without arguing, still, if Beth Din cannot enforce it, it's not called a sale. That's what we wanted to say. No, because of Kim Lei. No, that's exactly the point. Because the nefashos are involved, not because he's a bad boy and we don't want to touch, the mafia's businesses. No, we would have go along with it and tell the guy of paying the goods, go along with it. But because it happened on Shabbos and there's Kim Lei involved, that's why not. And therefore we rejected it and we gave the final answer, which was easier and simpler, that the Ganev was asked to just throw the sheep or the ox, over the fence into Rishus HaYochid, from Rishus Rabim to Rishus HaYochid. Last time I checked, Yochid Rabim, I think, is a Doraisa. And there was a Doraisa, the kinyan, and the thing, well, Kol HaKavod, you recapped. I'm very, very happy that you did. Says the Gemara now, Rove Omar. Now we're back to the figs business, the barter deal. Rove Omar, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines from the bottom of the page, Ein Amud Beis. Rove Omar, La'olam Ki'ami Barchama. Really, I would like to go back and explain the Brisa like Rami Barchama. We had an issue with Rami Barchama that a transaction that cannot be forced by Beis Din because of Kimlay is not a transaction at all. No, says Rava. I disagree with that. I think the transactions that are illegal and the Beis Din would not go along with them, if they did take place, they are called transactions. Let's see the following case. If you think the Gneva was bad, look at this. Esnan. Esnan is a word in Hebrew. I don't think there's a word for it in English. I think Etnan, Esnan is a word in the Torah. I think Kiseitz or something like that. Kisova, I mean. No, Kiseitz. I think Kiseitz, Shoftim, something like that. And it says over there that one is not allowed to, Ezoino cannot, I don't have to translate everything, right? Ezoino who got Esnan. Esnan is the money or any other goods that the Zoino got as a not salary, payment for her good services. So she cannot bring that to Beis Hamikdash. The Zoina got a taleh, she got an ox, she got a sheep for the services that she provides, LTD. And now she wants to bring it to Beis Hamikdash. No, Beis Hamikdash would not accept it. Baruch Rin said it's a joke. I don't know if it's a joke, that in Beis Hamikdash, they're like in the airport. Did you pack alone? Do you have any food? Do you have any goods? Do you have any, combustibles? In Beis Hamikdash should probably ask you, how did this come to your hands? We want to make sure the korban comes from a kosher source. So now, but you do have to know that an esnan has very specific halachic definitions to be called an esnan. For example, look at this. Esnan oso toiro, va'afilu bal imoi. Let's say a man had relations with his mother, and he's paying the mother. So nice. He's paying the mother. The mother is the zoino, and he has relations with her. So he's paying the mommy to have relations with him. So still, it's considered to be an esnan. If the mother comes to Beis Hamikdash, yet what a proud mother. With the esnan, from some odd reason, we don't accept it. What's the chiddush? Because listen to this: when he had relations with a regular zoino, yes, stam, or maybe the zoino goes to the mikveh even. I don't know. I'm not saying, nobody says it's a good thing, chas v'shalom, but it's not a chayav misah. Not a chayav misah, right? Mashenken, when the person had relations with his mother, then it's chayav misah. It's chayav misah because he had relations with mommy. That's already chayav misah. Even in the Western world, I think that's not done, and that's a big chiddush. But feel bal imoy, even if you had relations with the mother, di tova le kaman bedina. If tova le kaman bedina, let's say the zoina mother would come to us and tova, she would sue, she would claim it bedin. Let's say the son tells his mother, after they made it, an agreement, the son and the mother, I will pay you for having relations. And then the son is a bad boy, he's misbehaving, he's not paying her. So she takes him to Beis Din. The mother takes to Beis Din, whatever, versus whoever, and she says, my son didn't pay me what he's mechuyev, the esna that he owes me. So then, would we tell him, kum have lo esnan? Would we tell him, give your mother the esnan? We would not. Why not? Don't laugh. Why not? Not because it's terrible and it's instant and it's crazy. Just because what? Incest, right? Why? Not because of incest. Why? Because it's kimlay. It's that simple. Halacha is everything, pigeonholed. Because lemaisa, this is kimlay beDerbah Minay, right? Because the chiyuv money came when he had relations with her. When he had relations with her, they're both chayav misah, right? So you see that even though, right, Beis Din would not go along with it and would not force it in court in Beis Din, still it's called an esnan. It still has if he does go along with it, if he is a good boy, and if he does pay her the esnan, it still has the definition of esnan, which is a no entry to Beis Hamikdash. Let's keep the Gemara. Ella, the last narrow line. Even though if she would sue him to Beis Din, take him to Beis Din, and claim, we would not tell him, go give her, because it's kimlay. And kimle means not only we don't punish, it also means we don't claim money. But nevertheless, if he did give it to her without Beth Din, he was a good boy, good client, and he keeps his promises, good man, and he actually paid her the esnan, then havi esnan. Halacha defines it as an esnan that should not go to Beis Hamikdash. You understand what I told you before? Not every payment to a zoin is called esnan. It has to have real chosh and mishpat gdorim. It's something that really owes the zoino as an agreement. Let's say somebody went to the zoino, didn't promise her anything. I'm not sure, but I think he goes, and then a week later he said, I had a nice time, get a gift. But it wasn't agreed upon. I'm not sure. I'm almost sure it's not called esnan. Esnan is only something out of a real transaction. Yeah, he came to her house, they signed a contract, gave him a receipt. It's all very mesudar, then it's esnan. So you see that even though it's not forcible by Beth Din, the esnan, yet if they did go along with it, it's called an esnan, right? Oh, now Rava broke the formula that was against Rami bar Chama. Hochanami, last line. Here too, in the case of the one who picks the figs on Shabbos in order to get the ox, to give the ox, Hochanami, here too, Afal Gavdilin and Tashlumin, even though regarding Tashlumin, regarding the payment, Itova Badina, come on, if the fig owner would go to Beth Din and say, hey, that ganav is a double ganav, he should now go along and give me the ox, give me the sheep, and yet loy amrina lezil shlim, we would not support the buyer. Why? Because it's kimle beDerbah Minay, so we cannot force the ganav because it's kimle afilu hachi. Nevertheless, kevin kamakni le behachi, since at the end of the day that was the kinyan, ein aleph amud aleph, since it was kinyan, havi mechira, it's called a transaction. In other words, just because it's not forcible in Beth Din does not disqualify it from being a mechira. It's still called a mechira. It's still called a sale, and therefore Rava wants to support Rami bar Chama, saying what? Let's summarize. At the end of the day, we have two ways how a person can sell on Shabbos and be chayav skila. Okay, two easy steps to be chayav skila on Shabbos by mechira. That's a good trivia question for kids at the table. Is mechira on Shabbos deraisa derabanan kinderlach? It is, or grandchildren, derabanan. When would selling on Shabbos be an isur deraisa? The easy answer is the second one of Papa, and that was if you throw it over the fence from Shus Rabim to Shus HaYochid. So that's Shus no Shus, and it's kinyan chotzer. That's it. Or the more complicated one, but still a true one, is if you did a barter deal and one person told the other, you cut the figs. And when you cut fig number 10, boom, at that very second, I want your ox to be mine. So that's chalipin, and that works. And kinyan chalipin works. If the kinyan chalipin was on Shabbos through cutting the fig, or cutting the date, or cutting the apple, or cutting the orange, of course, the picking, whatever you want to call it, that is also a chiyuv skila. And in that case, if the selling was of a sheep or a shor or an ox, then you don't pay 4 or 5 because you have kimle beDerbah Minay. Yeah, the person's chayav skila, therefore doesn't have to pay. Weiter. Ein Aleph Amud Aleph Bava Kama. I'm not making a bracha because I'm not thirsty. I'm only drinking this for health reasons. I'm not thirsty at all. Says the Heilige. Mure. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Says the Gemara to that, the Hut. Gona v'tovach b'yom kippurim. We said if a person was tovach, a person slaughtered on Yom Kippur, that's not a nice thing to do. It's so not nice. You have chorus. But let's say he shechted the stolen ox or sheep on Yom Kippur. Does he have to pay 4 or 5? Yes or no? Is there kimle or no kimle? There's no kimle beDerbah Minay. Why? Because chorus b'dei shomai. The whole idea of kimle is that based in of people or flesh and blood, they cannot be mechayiv you twice in kimle gdorim. But if it's chorus and Yom Kippur, it's very bad. Chorus is a terrible thing, but it's not punishable in Beth Din. And therefore, the person at the end of Yom Kippur, even if there were Eidim and Asra and terrible, oy veit, Yom Kippur, Rabbi, what are you doing? And he's shechting, still it's not kimle. Why isn't it kimle? Because there's no chayav misah. Okay, nothing done by human beings. Frag the Gemara, Amri, they asked in the yeshiva, why is that? Even though there's no ktala, there's no death involved by Chilul Yom Kippur. Malkus mi'ika. There's still Malkus. It's not true what I said. You don't do anything to him. We know that Malkus lashes are given so to speak, that's the default punishment of almost every offense in the Torah. And the regular standard lav in the Torah, lav is lamed aleph vav, not lav, yeah? The Easter, no much love over there, yeah? If a person is over a lav, unless it's lav nita klaseh, lav she'en b'maaseh, lav she'b'chulei, regular lav, unless known otherwise, if the Torah does not prescribe any particular oynish, unconditional love. Very good. The unconditional one, the default one is malchus. So Yom Kippur also, even though there's no punishment attached, so to speak, to Yom Kippur, no skila, no sreifa, hereg, or chenek, but malchus are there. If the person did it with the edim, and edim with a throw, with a warning, and they told him, Mister, you know that today is the day of atonement, it's Yom Kippur, and yeah, and you're Jewish, and you're going to slaughter it, and says, yeah, I'm sorry, I don't care. So then you go to Beth Din and you malke. So if so, the kaimelan, listen to this, the eino loike u'mishalim. We kaimelan, we know, we have learned from our rabbis that a person does not get malchus and also pay money. In simple words, kimle does not only apply to death, it also applies to malchus. If a person gets not capital punishment but corporal punishment, yeah, there is corporal punishment of him being hit 39 times. So then he doesn't have to pay. If so, what's going on over here? The Mishnah seems to be wrong. The Mishnah is telling me that all of a sudden, on Yom Kippur, a serious thing, there's malchus involved, and you have to pay 4 and 5. What do you have to pay 4 and 5? You get malchus, you shouldn't have to pay anything. Kimle applies to malchus as well. You know Kim. Kim is a strong guy, Kim. Answers the Gemara, Amri. Again, Amri, the yeshiva man, answered, Homani Rabbi Meir. Our Mishnah follows Rabbi Meir, as some people said here before. Stam Mishnah Rabbi Meir. The Mishnah goes very well to Rabbi Meir. What did Rabbi Meir say? Rabbi Meir does not agree with you, Mister. So sorry to disappoint you. Live with it. Rabbi Meir says a person loike u'mishalim. A person does get malchus and would also have to pay. So now at that point, the Gemara thinks that Rabbi Meir, don't faint on the floor, please don't. The Gemara now thinks that Rabbi Meir is completely koifer in the entire idea of Kimla beDerbah Minay. That's a shock to the system. Frag the Gemara, Rabbi Meir, if you want to tell me Rabbi Meir is the author of the Mishnah and he doesn't believe in Kimle at all, if so, afilu tovach b'Shabbos. Why did the Mishnah elegantly omit the case of tovach b'Shabbos? Because a person who slaughtered in Shabbos, of course, doesn't pay, because of course he gets misah, real death. Why? If it's Rabbi Meir, I thought Rabbi Meir is completely against all the idea of Kimle, and he thinks you always pay, even if you kill 10 times. Yeah. The chitema. Now, of course, what you would suggest, and that's what comes to mind, is no, like you mishalem islay, meisu mishalem leislay. That would be a very nice middle road for Rabbi Meir. Maybe Rabbi Meir is not completely koifer in Kimle. If a person actually is maced, if a person dies, meaning gets executed, then he doesn't pay. That's in Shabbos, slaughtering. But Shenken, if he does something that's mechayev malchus, the lashes, on that, he doesn't believe in Kimle. He thinks Kimle only applies to death. It does not apply to malchus. And that would be perfect with our Mishnah, right? Our Mishnah said that if you slaughter in Yom Kippur, you only get malchus and you pay. That's Rabbi Meir. So Shenken, on Shabbos, they will take you not to malchus, they take you to a tall building, and and you get skila. Then there's Kimle, and then you don't pay. That would be very nice, middle of the road. Maybe the Mishnah is Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Meir believes in Kimle halfway, like we always thought, right? The Kimle applies to death. It doesn't apply to malchus. That would be so nice. And actually, I'm telling you a secret now, and I'm helping you and spoon feeding you a little bit. That will also be the maskon of the sugya. What I'm saying now will be the conclusion. One second. The end of the thriller, the whodunit, is our Mishnah is Rabbi Meir, and Rabbi Meir believes Kimle applies to death, meaning if a person gets mamish capital punishment execution, no money involved, Shabbos. But if there's malchus involved, you get the malchus. Malchus, you stayed alive, mister. You stayed alive. That's nice to see you. You recuperated after a week in bed. Now pay the money. Says Rabbi Meir. So case of Yom Kippur, he has to pay 4 and 5 because it's only malchus. However, we're going to question it and then we'll go back there. Yes, Jeffrey. Questions in this room are never silly at all. Jeffrey is actually making a very good point, and that is, even if the person did not actually get misah, because we all know that a Beth Din will only happen once in 70 years, and even that would be chumrah, the person actually would be executed. Doesn't make a difference. If the person is chayav misah, even if they didn't kill him lemaisa, he's still barter from paying. Yes. Now, we're now learning the whole sugi of kimle. That's a sugi in tzubas. Lamed Aleph Beis Gimel, around there. That's a whole, with all the mekoros and the stories. We're only having a taste right now, but it's a very good point, Jeffrey. Let's continue. Frag the Gemara. So that would be a nice solution of Rabbi Meir. What did Rabbi Meir say? Death is kimle, and Malchus is not kimle. Frag the Gemara Veloy. No, are you sure? Vatanya, look at the following brisa, and your castle is going to now fall. Gonav, look at the brisa carefully. Gonav v'tovach b'Shabbos. Okay. He stole, and he shechted on Shabbos. Gonav v'tovach le'avodah zarah. Not like selling to avodah zarah. He stole, and then he slaughtered it in honor of the avodah zarah. He stood in front of the nice big golden statue of Putzatutza in India, and he shechted it in honor of the idol. That's the Raisa, the Rabbanon, Yevisa, Skila, Skila. Gonav Shor HaNiskal, he stole Shor HaNiskal. What's a Shor HaNiskal? Before it was Niskal. A shor that has death sentence, such a shor that already passed and has to die, because that Shor HaNiskal, let's say, gored someone and killed it, or had relations, bestiality, whichever reason, that shor, once there's a death sentence on the shore, you're not allowed to have hano from it, and then he slaughtered it. Let's leave the Shor HaNiskal alone for now. It's not the focus now. So Rabbi Meir says, wow. Rabbi Meir says outright, even if the person is chayav misah, it's Shabbos, and yet, says Rabbi Meir, do you pay 4 and 5? Sounds like Rabbi Meir just does not believe at all in kimle, right? There's clear death, and yet we say that he also pays Rabbi Chamisha. So Rabbi Meir seems to be much more of a hardliner that you're suggesting. He's saying you just always pay. You pay Rabbi Chamisha even if they take you to actual basis kila. The Chachamim poitrin. Chachamim are the standard, regular, mainstream opinion. They say potu. You potter. It's kimle beDerbah Minay. Kimle beDerbah Minay. You potter and paying, like we always learned since the age of whatever. So that seems to be like Rabbi Meir cannot fit our Mishnah, right? Because Rabbi Meir is saying there's no kimle at all. And our Mishnah says that when it comes to death, there is kimle. Amri, they answered again, Bar mino de'ahi, leave that brisa alone. Bar is leave it out, except for. Bar mina is except for that. Leave that Mishnah out of my radar. It's out of my question. Why? That brisa which you just quoted me, Rabbi Meir seems to be such a hard line or whatever. Rabbi Meir is saying that there's no kimle. You completely misinterpreted it. Leave that out of the discussion, right? Many times there's questions and we're telling you that belongs to different sugya. It's not a topic right now. That's what the Gemara is saying. Why isn't it our topic? Explains the Gemara. The Itmar law, we learned the Amoroim, Itmar is an Amoraic statement. The Amoroim spoke about this brisa and explained it. How many Amoroim are involved in that explanation? Look, Omer Rabbi Yaakov, Omer Rabbi Yochanan, Rabbi Yaakov and Rabbi Yochanan, the Amri law, and some say, Omer Rabbi Yirmiyah, Omer Rabbi Shimon Lakish, Rabbi Yirmiyah, and on behalf of Rish Lakish, Rabbi Yochanan's Chavrusa, they said that Rabbi Abin, Rabbi Lo, they quoted earlier generations of Rabbi Abin and Rabbi Lo, the Kol Chavrusa of Nitar Chavua, Ishmael Rabbi Yochanan on behalf of Rabbi Yochanan. Now it's either Rabbi Yochanan himself or Rish Lakish quotes other people who quoted Rabbi Yochanan. Amri, Bekitza, what did they say? How did they explain that brisa that says that you actually are chayav, even though you chayav misah, slaughtered on Shabbos, and yet is chayav to pay? What is that? Boom, boom, boom. The Ganav is a smart guy. The Ganav is not stupid. The Ganav wants to shecht it, and he wants to eat it now. He wants to shecht it on Shabbos. Do you think he's a mechalel Shabbos? No. The Ganav is a very firm guy, very religious. Pay us down to here. But, so he tells his friend, who's a professional shochet, you shecht it for me on Shabbos, please, if you don't mind. Okay? In other words, there are partners in crime over here. Yeah? Shochet alidei acher. So what? That helps a lot. Really, Rabbi Meir believes in kimle. However, over here, the person who shechted is the shliach, the messenger. And en shliach ledvar avera. So who gets the skila? The shochet, who's working on behalf of the Ganav. The Ganav doesn't get skila. Me, skila, I keep Shabbos. I learn Shmiras Shabbos Kilchasa every day. However, yeah, mainly the Ganav, who doesn't actually shecht the animal, he has to pay 4 and 5. We basically divided the energy over here, the punishment. One guy who's the real shochet, the shliach, gets the skila, frayer, and the ganav, who is the master plan, he is the organizer, the meshaleach, he gets arba v'chamisha. Why does he get arba v'chamisha? Because he sent someone else to shecht it, and he himself is squeaky clean. He's not chayav misah, right? If he's not chayav misah, he has to pay 4 or 5. What? And shochet is his name, or netilas neshama. Abelochov shchita used to shecht the elim, the rams, the deer. The question is what it was. Yeah, they used to shecht it for the skins, for the hides. So that's actually Mam Shabbat to shecht the kosher animal is the Av Melacha. Yeah. So now, okay. So let's just recap. Really, Rabbi Meir is the author of our Mishnah. Why? Because Rabbi Meir believes in Kimle. When it comes to Oynish Misah, to death, there is Kimle. So our Mishnah that said that shechting on Shabbos, your potter is Rabbi Meir. Why did Rabbi Meir say over there that you are chayav to pay? Because you didn't shecht it. You're a smart guy. He's a white-collar guy. The dirty job of the shechita on Shabbos was done by the shochet. The shochet is going to go to get skila. I'm not going to get skila. I'm the ganav master plan, and therefore I will only have to pay 4 and 5 because there's no kimle. I didn't get my hands dirty. I'm not getting skila. You tell me now. I told you something in passing. Why, if I tell the shochet to shecht, why am I not getting skila? I'm the one who's initiating the whole thing. I tempted him to do something bad. Why don't I get skila if I'm the one who told him to do so? Why does he get skila, not me? Because we say, Ein shliach l'dvar avera. Very famous Gemara in Kiddushin, Memalach Membeis, that there's no shlich l'dvar avera. If somebody tells you you do an avera, you can't come to Beth Din like you're 5 years old to the Gan Eden. He told me to do something. No, you can't say that. What do you mean he told me? You're a baby? Divra Rav, Divra Talmud, Divra Mishoimin. The Gemara says, and not me. The example is by the Gemara. If the Rav tells you and the Talmud tells you, who do you listen to? He told me to shecht in Shabbos. Well, Hashem told you not to. It was your choice to listen to the criminal, not to listen to Hashem. So the one who actually is doing the Ma'aseh B'Yadayim is the one chayav. The Meshaleach is not a nice guy, but the Meshaleach, the one who initiates it and told him to do so, the instigator, is not chayav skila because he didn't do it. If so, now frag the Gemara, wait a second. You're telling me that the first guy, the Ganev, no, what's the question? Brilliant, absolutely fabulous. Frag the Gemara, the chiz the choyt of them is chayav. Why should one do the chait, the other one be mischayev? If we say, so what? Reuben only did the gneva, but Shimon did the shchita. So only if a God of himself shechts, it should be that way, right? Because I didn't do the shchita, says the ganev. I'm Reuben, I admit I ganeved. Or the Edom already caught me, I don't have to admit, yeah? But the one who did the shchita at the end of the day is Shimon. Don't tell me you're a bad guy, you're a bad influence. It's not B'Syakov, you're a bad influence. At the end of the day, what? Shimon is the one who did it, and we always learn B'chol Torah Kula, and Shlichut Varber. The one who does the action is the one chayav. Yeah? If the American police would work like that, all the ones who would get the punishment would be the little, the murder, the small hitman, not the main guy of the mafia. Because, you know, they're the ones who actually murder. So what? So Moshe is right. The Gemara is asking the question, why is the Ganav having to pay 4 and 5? He didn't do the shchita. Omarove, here comes surprise, surprise. Here is an exception to the rule against the entire Torah. Omarove, answer, shiny hocho. Here is the one place in the Torah when we say yesh shlich l'dvar vera. Wow, a person who sent someone else to do the sin is the one chayav. The Omar Kro, the pasuk says utvochoi oy mechoroi. The real version is oy mechoroi. The Gemara again compares. The Torah compares tvicha to mechira. Tvicha and mechira are good friends. Selling and shechting are good friends together. Ma mechira lidei acher of tvicha lidei acher. Brilliant, which means. Last time, did you ever try to sell something to thin air? Can you sell something to nobody? No, there's no such thing. Yeah? You need 2 for tango? Well, the Gemara doesn't say tango. You need 2 for mechira. You need 2 for mechira. Just like by selling, you always have another person involved. That's the way mechira works. There's a buyer and a seller. So too, there's a special one of Zeres HaKotul that tvicha. Also, if tvicha is done through another person, an accomplice, the first person is chayev. special chiddush, which means b'chol Torah kula Moshe is right. If I tell somebody else to do A, B, C, D, Taf, Resh, Yud, Beis, Averos, it's his problem more than mine. Of course, I'm also bad, but the actual Avera, the punishment would be him. Let's say Gneva. If I convince somebody to steal something, I'm the little, Kochalefale, and I'm the mastermind behind it, and I tell Ruvele, a young boy of 15, 16, you go steal from him. Who's chayav? Reuven. I'm a bad influence, and that's a different story. But the Gneva, Reuven, the thief, has to pay. When it comes to tvicha, to shchita, it's a separate, special, unique halacha that the mechayev, the meshaleach, the ganev, who told another person to shech, the ganev will have to pay 4 and 5. Why? Because you compare mechira to tvicha. Just like by mechira, you always have 2 people. By tvicha, you sometimes have 2 people. The meshaleach and the sholeach. I don't know how to shecht. Let's say I'm a ganev. I don't know how to shecht animals. I call the kosher shochet from the dats and I tell him to shecht. Then the ganev, will be chayav 4 and 5 for his shchita. Special halacha, keneged kol Torah kula, yotzim l'klal, exception to the rule. The beDerbah Shmuel. Now the Gemara is basically going to give 2 other sources for exactly the same idea, just different sources. That's very easy. The beDerbah Shmuel Tana, in the yeshiva of Rabbi Shmuel, they learned a different source to the same idea that shlichus by tvicha of a ganev works. Oy, it says tvochoi, oy mechoroi. Why do you have to add the word oy? You can say tvochu mechoroi. Lerabois es shaliach, hashaliach, to include and tell me that even if there's a shaliach involved, still the ganev, who is not the actual shochet, the ganev who actually instigated it and convinced him to do it, he's the one chayav above chamisha. Again, a third source for the same halacha. Tachas, it says arbo tachas shor, arbo tachas. It says many times tachas is instead in liyov. Shabbos is a shliach to come to tell me that the shliach also is instead of a person. Tachas being instead of the shliach. Mishalech is instead of the shliach, and both are chayav. In this case, the meshalech is chayav and not the shliach. So let's summarize. Really, it's all very nice. So far, so good. Our Mishnah follows Rabbi Meir that said what? There is kinyan beDerbah Minay in death. There's no kinyan beDerbah Minay in Malkos. Very easy. If he dies, he doesn't pay. If he gets flashes, he has to pay. So therefore, our Mishnah said on Shabbos, you don't pay 4 and 5. On Yom Kippur, you pay 4 and 5. Very easy. That brisa? No, leave me alone. That brisa is a special crazy case that the meshalech, the ganev, told someone else to shecht. Mimela, divide and conquer, divide and get out of punishment. The shliach himself, when it comes to Hilchas Shabbos, the shliach gets skila. He's the one actually shechted. The meshalech, though, has to pay 4 and 5. Special supposed to. Very good. Frag the Gemara, and now we're getting to a very lomdish question here. Maskif la Marzutra asks the question. He attacks Maskif. Mi ikar, midi, is there anything, midi means anything or something. Mi ikar midi, is there anything, any case, the ilu ovid ihu lo mechayev, that if the person himself would not be chayev, the ovid shliach hu mechayev, if the person himself is not chayev, he's not chayev on what? On skila. In other words, let's say I, the meshalech, the ganev, did the whole job by myself. I wouldn't be chayev skila. Let's say I would shecht it. Excuse me. I'd be chayev skila, sorry. I wouldn't be chayev 4 and 5. Now, is there matzev there? If he himself would not be chayev, I wouldn't have to pay 4 and 5. The ovid shliach mechayev. Now the shliach did it. Now all of a sudden I'm chayev 4 and 5. It's very paradoxical that if I do it myself, I'm not going to pay 4 and 5 because I shechted. But if he did it, because he shechted, now I pay 4 and 5. Now that if I don't do it myself, I have to pay more. That the chiyuv, usually when the person does something himself, is chayev more than if the shliach does it. Which means? Yeah. So tell me, the person, you're saying very nice, you're saying very good, but still, Mazut is asking, is timing that, are you telling me that if I do it myself, yeah, if I would shecht myself, I'm not chayav 4 and 5 b'chlal? Oh, if I delegated somebody else, I passed the buck to someone else, all of a sudden a whole new chiyuv of 4 and 5 would pop up to me. Answers the Gemara. You're in the right direction. Good. You're on the ball today. I'm going to send a note. Omar Ravashi. Answers Ravashi. What? Omar Ravashi. Your mother has a lot of nachas in Shemayim. Omar Ravashi. Hossam over there. Lav mishum delo michayavu. You're wrong in your understanding. When a person shechts, yeah, it's not that he doesn't have 4 and 5. That's very lomdus. That's like from Reb Brisker this Gemara. When a person shechts and doesn't have to pay 4 and 5, it doesn't mean that there's no chiyuv 4 and 5 at all. He has a chiyuv to pay, ela dekane beDerbah Minay, which means what? We cannot actualize his chiyuv, and we can't bring it to fruition and make him pay because our hands are tied and he can't pay the 4 and 5. But the 4 and 5 chiyuv is what's called in English dormant. It's there in potential. Once he told someone else to do it, now there's another person shechting, the chiyuv 4 and 5, which really was always there, now comes to life. Because, yeah, get what I'm saying? In the Havamina, with 1 second. This is lomdus like a chronim. In the Havamina, we thought that kimla means there's no chiyuv whatsoever. So if all he gets are I told you the question many times. Yeah, a 5 years old boy. Let me ask you a question. Don't laugh. Let's say 5 years old boy, 10 years old, 12 years old boy. Yeah, he really likes a 16 years old girl. He cannot be mekadesh. He's under bar mitzvah. He says his friend, "You be my shliach. You be my shliach. You my 16 years old brother. You be my shliach to be mekadesh this 16 years old girl. Works? I ain't working. You tell me." No. And why not? The 12 years old has no koyach kiddushin. Shlichus Dr. Ktsos means I transfer my existing koyach to you. Can I plug that into non-existing electricity current? No. There's no koyach. Yeah. In other words, the Meshalech has to give powers that he has, halachic powers, energy, to give it over to the shaliach. So a 5 years old or 12 years old cannot make a shliach to something that he doesn't have, right? Okay. Mimela, frag the Gemara in the Havamina, the Gemara thought, wait a second, how can the Meshalech, who's not Chai 4 and 5, delegate it over to a shlich and then the shlich be chayav? Where did it happen? There's no shlichus. He has no koyach. Answers Gemara, no. He has in potential the 4 and 5. Elamai, if he does both together, like you said, if he did the shchita, we can't force him to pay the 4 and 5. But once a different person did it, and as we said, the split, the punishment, the friar shochet gets the skila, and the meshalech pays 4 and 5 because he really always be'etzem has it. Yeah. No, when? What would that be? Weiter. Frag the Gemara. We are in the line starts with the word who. Frag the Gemara. You gave me such a nice case here. The tvicha was done by a shliach, a different person. The meshalech is the ganav. The shliach is Mr. Friar Shochet. And Mimela, we have a very clear case of no kimle. Why? The ganav gets the death. No, excuse me. The shliach gets the death to Shochet because he really shechted. And the meshalech, the ganav, the instigator, the brain behind it, he gets a 4 and 5. Wait a second. Boom. The end of the Mishnah, if you remember, said chachomim poitrin. Chachomim pater, chachomim exempt the ganav and say he doesn't have 4 and 5. Correct the Gemara. He built me such a beautiful, perfect case of tvicha through a different person. My time at the Rabbanon the Patri, yes, but the Rabbanon also voiced their opinion at the end. Why? Why would the Rabbanon pater him from paying 4 and 5? If he's the one who's not actually shochet, he's not chayav skila. That's for sure not. That's not debatable. For sure, if I tell someone else to be Michal Shabbos, I'm not chayav. I'm terrible. Mesis Mediach go to Ganem. But the Maisa, I'm not chayav skila if I told someone else to be Michal Shabbos, right? If so, why do Rabbanon pater the Ganev for if somebody else shechted? Amri. Now we come with a new surprise. They say, Man Chachomim. You know who these Chachomim are? These Chachomim are not stam anybody. Rabbi Shimon. Chachomim follow the opinion of Rabbi Shimon. In our Mishnah, Rabbi Shimon was mentioned. The Omar Shchita she'en ruya Loi shma shchita. Boom. Says Rabbi Shimon like this: a shchita, which you cannot actually partake of the meat. If you cannot actually enjoy the meat of the shchita, even if it's kosher shchita, that shchita is not called shchita vis-a-vis gneva. Let's summarize Rabbi Shimon and Chachamim. Let's recap from the Mishnah. The Mishnah said as follows: everyone agrees that shchita, that you chayav to pay 4 and 5, has to be kosher. If you just banged it on the head or used some funny knife, like yuchala knife, full of this, that's not shchita. Yeah, shchita has to be kosher. That's for sure. But then the opinions split. Rabbi Shimon and Chachamim. Chachamim say, let's say you shechted and the animal is treif. Treif, why? It doesn't have a lung, or it has a lung, but a heavy smoker. It doesn't have a lung. It's a very, very sick animal, treifa. Chachamim say you still have to pay 4 and 5. Why? The shchita is a good shchita. You can't eat it for a different reason. You can't eat on Yom Kippur either. The shchita alone, we're very limited. The way we look at it is very constricted. The shchita is good. Rabbi Shimon says no. Shchita that's lo reuya, that does not really provide the goods, you can't actually eat after shchita, is not called shchita vis-a-vis beDerbah chamisha, and you don't have to pay beDerbah chamisha. Very good. Now we understand. If you shechted something for avodah zarah, are you allowed to benefit from the meat? No, no way. Avodah zarah, who even 1 in a million, is never batel. Very severe. You can't have any benefit. Definitely not eat the meat which is sacrificed for the zarah. No way. Not even get near that. Even ba'ano. Mimela, that's the opinion of Chachamim. It's nothing to do with Kimley. It's just a completely side thing of Rabbi Shimon. He believes that shchita that doesn't actually lead you into real food, into your next good fleshik meal, that's not called shchita for 4 and 5. I want to correct something, not to tweak and even correct something I said yesterday, when I gave you an example for a person who shechts for his dog, right? We had the case in the Mishnah. A person shechts and he wants to feed his dog. So then we say that's called shchita. L'kul alma. Even Rabbi Shimon agrees it's called a good shchita, good meaning that you'd have to pay 4 and 5. What's the chiddush? Yeah. Okay. But why is that even a chiddush? The shchita was a kosher shchita. And if I want to, I can also benefit from the meat. It doesn't have to be roxy. What's the chiddush b'chlal? I looked more in the Meforshim, looked more in Chul and Daf, I think you'd base. Over there, the Gemara explains as follows. Let's say it's not like I'm crazy frum and I want my animals to eat kosher. I actually want to kill the animal for my dog. And I know the dog doesn't have to eat kosher. But by fluke, I'm a very professional shochet. And without noticing it even, automatically I go like this. I have no kavanah for shchita. That's a chiddush. I know kavanah, no brocha. You make a brocha when you chef. I know kavanah that I want shchita. Happen to be kosher shchita. My hands are so dexterous, I'm doing boom boom like that. So even though I have no kavanah for shchita, it's still called kosher shchita. Mimela, right? You chayav on that, and you have to pay 4 and 5. Even though your intention wasn't in order to do mitzvah shchita. Yeah, he did it. The Gemara in Chulin says much wilder things. Let's say you threw a knife, happened to be that the knife was thrown exactly the right angle, like a boomerang like that, and the animal was shechted. It's a good shchita. Shchita by psik resha, shchita by fluke, by just like that with no kavana, unintentional shchita is good shchita. Okay, but the shchita is kosher mitzad the result. In Anmekan, the mitzvah shchita, but the animal is well shechted. There's mice and there's tzitzo. So that's a chiddush shchita l'klovim or l'rafua. In any event, but now we have a good answer. The one who says that you're potter is not because of kimlei. Because if you shecht for Shabbos, you shecht for the Zorah, you're not allowed to, but the Evid benefit from the meat. That's why it's not called good shchita. I mean, the inyan, for the matter of paying 4 and 5. Frag the Gemara, Amri, they asked, Bishlam over the Zorah, Bishor Niskal, shchita she'en re'uyai. We had 3 cases. Over the Zorah, oif avoy. If you shecht for the Zorah, of course it's treif. Shor Niskal is also ba'ano. If you shech shor niskal, can you take from the meat? No way. Shor niskal, a shor istokel, v'gam be'ol of yumas, b'mamoin. A shor niskal, you can never ever benefit from. So it makes sense that shchita is a non-shchita, meaning it's a good shchita maybe, to physically speaking, but you can't benefit from that. Ela Shabbos, shchita re'uyai. Shabbos, if you shechted something on Shabbos, of course you can benefit from it. Let's say somebody shechted from on Shabbos. It's a good shchita. At the end of the day, you can benefit from the shchita that was done on Shabbos. Are you guys happy? That nan, it says in the Mishnah, a shechet b'Shabbos ubi Yom Kippurim. A person shechted on the Shabbos Yom Kippur. Afal pishim ischai benafshoy. He has to die, or on Yom Kippur he has to get chores, malchus. Shchita kshera. The shchita is kosher. Wow, did you hear that? This Tana believes that if you shechted something on Shabbos, b'mezid, they'll take you to the skila house, Halila, but the meat is kosher. Sold kosher mahadrin, but that's Rubin, Lando, and Sheris Israel all together. That's a beDerbah kosher, and therefore the question is, you're telling me here we're talking about something that the issue here is that the shchita is not shchita because you can benefit? Why? If a shechted on Shabbos, you can benefit. And if I cook something on Shabbos b'mezid, I can eat it. Yeah? Are you? Yosef is unhappy. Oh, very good. You know the answer. However, there is an opinion who allows. And that's what now we're asking as a question. The answer will follow you. The South Africans today, they hit the ball. Yeah. The South African team. Yeah. Go ahead. Chinese gone. Yeah. But that's a question. It should be the same. They can't benefit from them. Yes. We're now aiming. The question is, the Shabbos is the odd one out because there is an opinion in the Mishnah which you all don't hold of. the Tanakam of the Mishnah says if you shechted b'mezid, you can benefit from that. So Shabbos is beDerbah the good shchita. Yes, I can consume it. Answers the Gemara, no. Amri, first word lan. Amri, they said Sovalok Rabbi Yochanan the Sandlar. Our Mishnah follows the opinion of Rabbi Yochanan the Sandlar, Rabbi Yochanan the shoemaker. The Tanan. What did he say? That's a very, very famous Mishnah quoted in many places in Shas. Amevashel b'Shabbos. A person cooked on Shabbos b'shoigeg. B'shoigeg. We're not going now to all the details. Maybe we'll recap them tomorrow. A person cooked b'shoigeg. Woke up in the middle of the night. Yeah, all moonwalking. Fuzzy and and dizzy. And he thinks what? Sleepwalking into the kitchen. But he's such a good chef, he can cook by heart, as we say, yeah? You know how to cook well, right? So it shouldn't happen to you. And he thinks it's Thursday night, and it's really Friday night. It's a complete shogeg. He knows what he's doing. He knows he's now cooking an egg, but he thinks it's Thursday. That's called shogeg. Yoichal, you can eat it. Everyone can eat it. That's not halacha l'maaseh. It's just the Mishnah at the beginning. We're not going to all the details now. They're just initial reading of the Mishnah. The shogeg, you can eat it. B'mezid lo yoichal divrei Rabbi Meir. Did it on purpose, lo aleinu chas v'shalom, person cooked egg on Shabbos knowing it's Shabbos, he's not allowed to eat it according to Rabbi Meir. Or he can say lo yeh ochel, that's good for the question, shall not be eaten by other people. Doesn't look like he's differentiating between the person himself and others. The shogeg beDerbah you can eat, the mezid you cannot eat. So already we're good, right? In other words, according to Rabbi Meir, if you cooked something on Shabbos or shechted on Shabbos, b'mezid, you're not allowed to consume it, like Yosef said, and that now makes our Mishnah look very good because of the Zorah. Shar Niskel and Shabbos, all three are on the same page. beDerbah, you can't consume them, can't benefit from them. Rabbi Yehuda argues on Rabbi Meir and says, Oimer, b'shoigeg ye'ochel b'motzei Shabbos. If you cooked it b'shoigeg, you thought it was Thursday, and really it was Friday night, you can eat it when? Motzei Shabbos. Okay, not on Shabbos. B'mezid, lo ye'ochel oilomis. Maybe mezid, you cannot eat it ever. Mezid, you just cannot eat that food ever and ever, forever and ever. Rabbi Yochanan Sandlo Oimer, the shoigeg. Now he starts differentiating between him and others. Yeah, I promised you that's going to happen. Yeah, Rabbi Yochanan Sandlo says, "B'shoigeg yochal motzei Shabbos la'acherim v'lo iloi." In shoigeg, you can eat it. Only other people can eat it, but not him. He can never eat it. He cannot eat it ever. And others can eat it on Motzei Shabbos. B'shoigeg. B'mezid lo yochel lo ilomis lo iloi v'lo la'acherim. Mezid is also forever and ever for everybody. Yeah, and that's halacha, by the way. Mezid is also for everybody. Oh, that's not so simple. Machlokes Dro and Mishnah. Well, I want to talk about that tomorrow. But halacha l'maaseh, some say even on Shabbos you can have the shogeg for other people. Maita, in any event, but now we got the answer. we definitely know that the food b'diavad on Motzei Shabbos is, even Motzei Shabbos, is also forever. Mimela, very good. So those in the Mishnah, the Acherim is Rabbi Shimon. They say a shchita that's just not working for you, you can't benefit from it, it's not a good shchita, and therefore you're not chayav Rabbi Chamisha. Correct the Gemara, my time with Rabbi Yochanan and Sandler. What's the reason Rabbi Yochanan and Sandler that is very stark, very much of a hardliner regarding not using the mezid forever and ever, something cooked on Shabbos b'mezid or shechted b'mezid? And says the Gemara, K'dedorish Rabbi Chia apitcha debei nesiya. Rabbi Chia, Rabbi Chia had a drasha that he asked, that he was saying by the door of Bein Nesiya, by the doorpost. I don't know, maybe that's where learning Torah. It says Bein Amudi. They sometimes used to learn Torah, but the door of the Besmedrash would be available to answer questions of the Bein Nesiya of the president. Ushmartim it's a Shabbos ki kodesh ilochem. Shabbos, you should guard the Shabbos ki kodesh. So we think it's very simple. Kodesh, Shabbos kodesh. Kodesh also means hekdesh, Beis Hamikdash. Ma kodesh osur ba'achila, just like items belonging, food belonging to hekdesh is osur ba'achila. You're not allowed to eat food that is what? That is belongs to Beis Hamikdash. Af ma'aser Shabbos asurin ba'achila. Ma'aser Shabbos, food cooked on Shabbos or shechted on Shabbos, prepared on Shabbos, you're not allowed to benefit from that food as if it was hekdesh. Frag the Braise, the Gemara, ima kodesh osur ba'ano. Af ma'aser Shabbos also ba'ano. What about hano? Kodesh, you can't have benefit from hekdesh. Ma'aser Shabbos, can I sell it to Mackenzie? That's a good question. I cooked something on Shabbos b'mezid, I did tshuva, but I can't benefit from the food. But Mackenzie, my neighbor, he likes that food that I made, the cake I baked on Shabbos. So is it osur ba'ano? Talmud lomer lachem, shalochem yeh, nekuda. We're going to stop here. Shalochem yeh. In other words, kodeshi lachem. It's kodesh. You can't eat it just like you can't eat hekdesh, but it's lochem. It's yours to have hana from. Quick. Yochel, 1 second. Give me 1 second. Yochel afilu b'shoigeg. It's so. That's so stark. Maybe even if it was done by mistake, I can never benefit from it. Talmud lomer mechalaleh amois yumas. The same, around the same pasuk it says, those who desecrate it shall die. Full stop. In other words, only b'mezid, we juxtapose mezid to Ma'aser Shabbos. Mezid, you can never ever benefit. But shoigeg, you can benefit b'diavad after Shabbos, but not during Shabbos. And that we'll see later on, the Rais of the Rabbanon. We'll see that later on. Thank you very much. Questions, comments are welcome. Yes, you want to say something? Have a very good day. Atzlacha, Rabbo.
Can you hear me, Rabbi? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Sorry. I'm sorry. Excuse me. Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, good. Because I fixed whatever. I didn't understand